Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Christine Means Business. And today is one of those weeks where I won't be on my own, but I have a second amazing, beautiful, good-looking, and smart brain with me to share some goodness with you. And I'm talking to Maggie Giele today, MSc. She is an award-winning business and marketing strategist, and who doesn't like that, and a certified coach helping service-based entrepreneurs grow and scale with ease so that they can do more of what they love without the burnout, which obviously. So this is already a good start. Think of her as your wand-waving, spell-casting partner in crime to help you carve a path through the magical forest where dreamy clients, business growth, and freedom await. So my expectations are huge with their wand-waving and sword fighting and all kinds of things. So great. We are going to get into these woods right now. And Maggie and I, we've known each other for a while now because we met at a conference in Luxembourg, of all places, where I live. And then we stayed in touch. We had a gig in London together where we went.
Drank a lot of champagne.
Lots of champagne, some huge up-leveling. And then Maggie had an amazing retreat in Tuscany in October last year. And things changed so much over there, like in terms of my business. What happened since October, which is 6 months ago, a little bit more, 8 months ago. It's incredible. So it just goes to show when you put the right people in the room, magic happens. Now, Maggie, before we get into, there's one particular thing that I obviously want to talk about that I told you before, but you call yourself a business and marketing strategist. And I do love that because I find it's a piece that we often neglect, especially, obviously I'm mainly talking to health and wellness coaches. And what happens most of the time is that we go to health coach school or an institute or whatever it's called. We graduate, you get a little bit of a business in a box, kind of an idea of what marketing is. A lot of steps are basically skipped. And you kind of have to piece it together most of the time, and that's fine because that's not what their business is. Their business is to give you education, to do your job, but running a business is a completely different thing. So where does the strategic piece come in, and what should people even understand when you say business strategist?
Well, that's a good question. So my background is actually, I have a master's of science in marketing strategy. So when I started, I was focusing mostly on that visibility marketing content aspect. And at a certain point I realized, yes, I am very good at that. I'm getting great results, but that's not actually the end result of what I do. The end result of what I do with strategy is I help people pay themselves more. It's not even about revenue. It's about how can you pay yourself at the end of the day, after tax, after your expenses. How does more money end up in your pocket, on your table, in your savings account, and your retirement fund, whatever, holiday home fund, I don't care. That's up to you. Yeah. And I think that a lot of us, especially, health and wellness coaches, you start a business from a passion. It starts, I think a lot of people in that industry are people pleasers. I'm definitely recovering one myself. And you just want to help.
Yes.
And with that comes mindset issues. Why are you charging if your goal is to help people, right? But at the end of the day, you have to have this realization of, I'm running a business, not a charity. Yes, I want to help people, but there is a business at the end of the day here. So roundabout way of answering your question, I think it's business strategy is really about finding ways of creating a model that creates revenue, profit, and income that supports the lifestyle and freedom goals that you have.
Exactly. I couldn't have put it into better words. And a quick promo for myself here. If you want to figure it out, go and get my second masterclass, which is on numbers and packages. Because Maggie and I totally agree. We've had this conversation before, is that you need to know your numbers in order to even have an idea of where you want to charge and what you want to charge and how you want to build your suite of products. Now, you know that I'm a huge fan of creating your method and then taking that method and building tiers out of that. You have something, though, that I find absolutely genius and sometimes also counterintuitive, because I'm one of these people who I'm not a huge fan of group programs in the beginning of someone's business. And I know especially health coaches love group programs, and they can work if you do them locally, but we focus mainly online. So because the simple truth of the matter is that you need a certain number of people to be able to convert, right? And if you don't, a group program isn't really a group program. So I always go for the lowest hanging fruit in terms of why don't you, it's just as much effort to sell something high end that will cover your month's rent or your month's business expenses or private expenses than having to sell a product for 200 or 300 bucks. You know, it's the effort is most of the time the same. Now you have something though that I will give a pass because I'm like, no, this can actually work. And I've seen it a couple of times. So this is a little bit different. And I love this because it's kind of a hybrid, I feel, between the freebie that you produce, but also making money, which we need to do. And you do this quite successfully. So you call it micro launching.
Yes.
And I love the concept. I've seen it. Someone else did something similar before and they did tons of money, but you do it a little bit differently still. So I want you to walk us through that. And audience, please know that this is Christine approved. So walk us through that and how it happened.
So I am a recovering perfectionist. I am very creative. I have I follow all the squirrels, shiny objects that get very distracted. And I'm also very all in or nothing. So I had a brush with burnout building my business. I'm definitely prone to anxiety. And, I think a lot of people probably resonate with what I'm saying right now. And I hated this idea of having to have a big launch. You look at launches and I thought, yeah, but I don't have an audience of 50,000 people. I don't have a team and I don't have 6 months of time I can put aside to try and sell an offer that's not been validated. If I haven't sold before, the risk for me is too high. So for the last couple of years, I thought I was taking shortcuts and just being lazy by creating really quick ways of marketing and selling offers. If they were one-on-one or group, actually this method works for both. And I came across that recently. I mentioned it to a friend. I said, I basically just did a micro launch and I made $4,500 in one weekend, which isn't a huge amount of money, but it's also you're not going to find that on the street. And that was with a $37 product with a small audience of less than 500 email subscribers at the time. Yeah. I was just and I mentioned it to her, that was a micro launch I just did. And she just started texting me for the next 3 days. This was Susie Gray, who we both know, variations of, I am obsessed with micro launching. You need to talk about that more. So the concept basically is if you have a really, really clear audience, a really, really clear outcome for your offer, and you add urgency and scarcity to your marketing, obviously with grace and integrity. We're not trying to fearmonger or anything here, but this is a very simplified version of my 3-step process. And it works really well for, I think, especially for service-based entrepreneurs to sell pop-up offers. So I've done this. I've used it to sell out a retreat in 2 weeks with one email.
Yes, that was phenomenal. I was the first one who bought. I want to say.
You were the first one to buy. Yeah.
I was just sure.
Well, why? Why did that work? I sold that out within 2 weeks, and it was because I had a really, really clear client. So you saw that you self-selected. You said, this is for me. I had great urgency because there were limited spots and there was a deadline. And I had a clear outcome. It's a higher level mastermind style retreat. Here's what you can expect. So that same principle, if you apply it to a one-on-one offer, and that's why with health coaching, if you have a really clear outcome, if that's your group offer, digital product, or one-on-one service, and you say, here's this exact result, transformation, or outcome you can expect from this process, and you make that really, really clear and specific instead of health coaching, or even in my case, business strategy. Well, cool. What does that mean? You can, and you add that urgency and scarcity again with grace and integrity. You can sell that so much faster because people see that and they can self-select and they can go, I need that. And I don't want to wait for the next round or next month because there's limited quantity available.
Yeah. I think there's also another point though, that I want to point out here. I'm not sure if you tried it or not, but I think pricing is also a big component of this one.
Yes.
Because contrary to having a long prep phase, which you kind of need without people necessarily being aware of it while you're massaging them into getting ready to work with you, because they have to make a higher investment. Your offers are usually bite-sized and it's really affordable. And it means that you exchange the time in terms of simplicity. You don't need to spend a lot of time preparing everything and, getting everything picture perfect. Yes, your revenue will be smaller per person, but because it is bite-sized or because it is super affordable, you will convert very quickly and a lot of people. So I find that is also a component. And I know it was a mastermind, it was a retreat. One big thing for me was also the pricing, because I was like, this is genius. And it still made you a nice margin, right? So that I think is also something where I agree. In terms of that, the investment of your time needs to reflect that. If it's easy breezy for you to do, which a lot of us, I think, underestimate how much we already have, then you really exchange this time component and you still get paid super handsomely.
Absolutely. Like, I think this works specifically really well for lower offers. I don't think they have to be like cheap. It depends on your audience, right?
Yeah.
I don't think this will work. This is not like the best approach for something for like a year-long commitment or for something that your clients will like have to decide between paying rent and paying you. But for something like if it's like a bit of a stretch, but it's not a stress, I think it works great. Also, like I sold, I think $1,500 like one-off kind of package offers with this method as well. Yeah, pricing is a component. The higher the price, the higher the time commitment, the longer I feel your kind of relationship building run up to that needs to be, right? Yeah. You like, we don't have that trust relationship, and I'm now saying, hey, pay me 10 grand for this amazing result. Like, no.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about that proportion. So if you do run a micro launch, kind of, how much, you do it pretty fast. It's like this pop-up is a great word for it, but a micro launch is different from just shouting it out and then letting it die, basically, which also a lot of people do. They prepare their courses, they prepare their online group programs, and then they do 2 promo posts and that's it. How can I imagine a micro launch in contrast to that? How does it differ in terms of planning, but blitzing it, I guess?
I think that it's a great question, by the way. Content is really important here. I think in general, I feel especially in like the health industry, especially people need to be posting probably like 5 times as much. I am not exaggerating that number, like 5 times as much as you think. Yeah, it's experience here. Yeah. No, you are not spamming people. They literally can't see your post. So for a lot of the time when people say, I've launched, like air quotes, launched this offer and I got crickets, like 90% of the time it's because you haven't given the offer enough visibility. So people haven't been able to have that consideration. So with a micro launch, I have a content flow framework that I use. I kind of say from the moment you are considering creating this offer. So from the moment I thought, could be fun to do like a program or something around micro launch, I start talking about it. I started actually asking questions. I started dropping it in comments. I started dropping conversations and I started validating, is this something real or not? And in the first week I started mentioning this, everyone's eyes lit up when I said it. And they just went, what's a micro launch? Is that what you just did? Can you tell me more about it? How can I do one myself?
It's so funny, isn't it? Like when they say, is that what you just did? Isn't that hilarious? Yeah.
Yeah.
So meta.
Yeah. So it's really about validating your offer, because the other thing is it's not about working in a bubble. Validating your offer this way by talking about it and asking questions around it has like so many great benefits for you. One, I get actual market research validation. If no one responds to me asking about this concept, I'm like, well, probably it's crap. Let me rethink it. Right?
Yes.
2, it gives me visibility because, so for example, I did a little poll just on my Instagram stories. I was like, do you prefer tagline A, B, or C? I'm working on something new. I already had the tagline I thought I was going to use, and that was create, market, and sell a micro-launched offer. Create, market, and sell an irresistible offer in 4 weeks or less. I thought that was going to be my tagline to go with. I did an Instagram story poll. I asked like A, B, or C, which tagline do you prefer? So 1, I had 150 people on my Instagram stories. C, Maggie is doing something about selling an offer.
Yes.
2, I gave them agency. because they were involved in my co-creation process. They gave me feedback. I was able to go, oh, why do you choose tagline C? And people said, oh, here's why. And lastly, it was really great market research for me as well. It's, you know, you don't work in a bubble, and you can't. So it's really about giving your offer great validation and visibility.
I agree. I did the same when I did the master classes, polling for titles or even polling content, you know, and it's just been eye-opening, right? And I mean, market research is something that we don't like to do because we don't like to annoy people. But the thing is, you just explained it, you can do it in this really smart and subtle way. And I love this. So people really write this down, and it is by talking about it and asking questions indeed. So what could this look like? I imagine for health, it would be, okay, if in the back of your head, you plan on just launching a recipe book, which is the most boring thing in the world. But let's say that's what you want to do, and it is based on a certain principle. And then your process could look like that you're doing them yourselves. You could post, you know, what happened to your body after doing this, and then asking people on feedback. And then when you are ready, you could say, okay, I'm producing something similar. Would you be interested? I guess that's what you mean by this.
Yeah, it's really, I just had a question. So my micro launching program actually just started yesterday on the time we're recording. So I just got a question today from someone saying, hey, I pulled my email list. I didn't get responses. Like, what can I do? I'm just like, well, ask on Instagram, ask on Facebook, but also just go one-on-one. Like, hey, Christine, you tick a lot of my ideal client boxes. I made this like 5-question form. Would you mind helping me out and filling this out as I work on my new offer?
Exactly.
Like,
and that's 5
fine.
brains is giving you amazing insight.
Yeah.
I love this. I think this is brilliant. I also think it's great marketing, because it's not, hey, this is my new offer, da, da, da. It's literally
no one cares.
Time. Exactly. And you have to produce content anyway. So you might as well do it, there's the word, strategically.
Yes.
And I'm a big advocate of not just throwing any content out there. You should always have the end goal in mind. Which freebie is it going to? Which funnel is it going to? What is that funnel to going to? Which office? What is the upsell from that? So really take the time to get that flow down, to be really, really clear. And there again, you need to know your numbers. And I love this because there is a funnel in the end. Like, people who will say yes to your micro launch, and let's say you will probably do a profit on it anyway, because you will have a group thing. So it's not a lot for you to prepare. Time-wise, it's going to be fine. So you will not make a 10K profit margin necessarily, but you will, I mean, the 400-500 for a weekend, that's totally cool, right? So I think that's totally fine.
I actually have a 10K profit margin on this.
That's amazing. So there you go. It took a little bit more time, but you did it well, right? So you did this perfectly well. And then afterwards, don't forget that these are people who said yes to you once, and it's going to be so much easier to introduce them, people, not to sell them, to introduce them to other ways that they can learn from your brain, because that's your capital in the end. Whether for Maggie, it's business strategy, for me too, but for you guys out there, it's everything you learned in your graduate program, in your health coach school, all of those kinds of things. So, I mean, I love this because it's an alternative to funnel, but you are getting paid for it.
Yeah, but you know what's so interesting? The reason I started experimenting with micro launching small products, not just, events or one-on-one, was because I realized I have a pretty warm audience. Like, it's not massive, but there's people who they comment on everything I do. I can see them in my email marketing. They're checking out all my sales pages. They keep checking on booking a call, but they don't buy. So I was, it got me thinking, why are they not hiring me? And I kind of know why, because my prices are not that cheap. And there's a reason. I go all in with my clients. So I started thinking, what can I offer people who are clearly hanging on? Well, if I say so myself, they're hanging on to every word, watching all my lives, my podcasts, everything. So, and I first did that $37 offer, which is a 21-day audio sequence called the CEO Quest. And from that sequence, I think 3 people who bought that $37 product became one-on-one clients.
Exactly. And that's what you need to keep in mind. That I'm not a big fan of small offers if it doesn't make sense. But here, it makes absolute sense.
Yeah,
it
made sense.
Really does. It's part of, you need to see if you can if you get 3 clients from this, you're done. It's it. So
and the thing is
perfect.
I'm a big fan. I know you are as well, of like not just doing written stuff, because you create like this amazing ebook that you spent literally like a month on. Someone's going to open it, skim it, and never touch it again.
Yes.
I don't want that. Like, you're not going to get a sense of what I'm like to work with through skimming a blog post or an ebook. So I'm like, I want you to watch me. I want you to listen to me. So the sequence I had, like, I was intentionally making it an audio sequence, 2 minutes a day, because I was like, listen, best case scenario, you open every single email, you listen to 2 minutes of me, and you do the exercise. Worst case scenario, you don't open a single one of them, but you still see my name and the title, the subject line go by 21 times. How is that for a relationship builder?
It totally, absolutely. I think it's great. And I think you have to play around with it and just with everything build up. Like, you started with something really simple, really affordable, and then stacking, building it up to, you know, now launching the program that you're now teaching people how to do what you do. I don't even know what the price point was.
This was $347.
So that is not a cheapo product for me. You know, I think this is already quite considerable, but it worked because you've done it before. You have your know, like, and trust factor, plus you know what you're talking about. And actually, one fun post, and I want everyone to breathe this in. First of all, you need to know your analytics, right? So I think you go into your email, and I know a lot of you never check this out, but every email provider gives you analytics, and it will show you how many people click where and which link, and that way you can calculate what the engagement is in your email, and you can see. And I love that you said, I saw them on my sales page, because you had one post which made me laugh, and it's like, people, I can literally see you on my on my sales page. What questions do you have, right? Instead of saying, why the fuck aren't you buying, right? But it's like, it just made me laugh, because it happens to so many. It's like, why the fuck are they sitting there and they're not clicking the buy now button? And you converted, like, I don't know how many people, but at least one that I saw at that moment who was like, oh, now I get it. And then she bought.
Yes. I think,
so
like,
funny.
That one Facebook post that was literally like, that was kind of, it was like 2 sentences. I think at least three people bought just because of that. So there's an app.
Because you called them out. It's like, stop wasting fucking time. Stop sitting on my sales page. And it literally felt like you're in the hallway of my house. Choose a room. You know, I thought it was excellent.
Because that's my approach with micro launching, or with launching or selling. Are you in or are you out?
Yes.
Don't sit on the fence, right? I don't want a maybe. I want either a yes or a no. I'm cool with a no. A no doesn't mean never, right?
Exactly.
Come back in 3 months. Come back in 6 months.
I completely agree. Don't come back to me haggling about every little bit in the contract or payment plans or whatever, or what exactly is included or what. That's not how it works. Like, no. I don't have that patience at all either. And I said no to people where I was like, okay, I'm not going to go into a round of negotiations of how this might work. This is it. Take it or leave it. It's totally fine if you don't take it.
Yeah.
You know? Or I would say, you know what, I actually don't think we need to discuss this further, because my clients are decision makers. They actually know or they don't. So I don't think this will be a good fit, because we're already starting on the wrong foot, you know, which is not something personal. It's just my preference, and I'm the boss. So I can choose who the fuck I want to work with. So I think that is, I love this. And that post, people learn from that. But call people out, and analytics will help.
Yeah. So for this, just, I do want to mention, it's a software or an app called chatra.io, and it's a chat box. I love it. Like, if I'm on my computer, I am logged on. I have sold like services, group offers, just by people being able to send me like it feels like a really low commitment message to send me a low commitment thing to send me a message just on my chat box, and I'm there live answering questions. And that's how I saw, hey, there's people like in all these, because I can see locations. You've opened that page, like you've had that page open for 3 days. Are you in or are you out?
Yes. Did you text them saying that?
I have actually. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I've tried that out just to be like, hey, I've seen you sitting here. Like, let me know if, you know, a very soft approach. But one of the goals I have with my content, which I hope is going to be helpful, because people go, what do I say in my marketing apart from buy my thing? Right? Yeah. What do I say? So I just really try and like, you know what, maybe this offer is not right for you. Bad timing. You just had I had a couple surgeries. So like, I've not bought stuff I wanted because I just couldn't. have that commitment, right? It could be the pricing, timing, you don't like group programs, I don't care, whatever.
Yeah.
But I still want you to get value from my marketing content, from my launch content, because I know you're watching me. And the next time there's an offer that fits you, you are much more likely to buy.
Exactly. It's so funny because I just had the same experience in terms of people know me for Sleep Like a Boss, obviously, because it's kind of my own case study in a way that I built that business. But now that I do business coaching, I have people who've known me for the years and been stalking me for years and this sounds a little bit braggy, but they've been admiring me. I say air quotes, but I'm actually totally basking in this. So, and they now saw, oh my God, she's offering business coaching. It's actually an offer that I can use, right? So, and I think that's totally it. You have to be aware that people watch you, and you might not, sleep, either you sleep or you don't. It's very simple. It's either yes or no. It's just a need or you don't. But with business coaching, it's different. A lot of coaches don't necessarily know. But here it was just a phase of, okay, I like the way she's running her business. Now she's teaching it. Perfect. Boom, signed up my client. I didn't even have to sell anything. It was just like, please take me on. I was like, fine. So, but you need to understand that people will watch every move, and you're constantly kind of selling just by doing your job really well.
Just talk about your offers, talk about your results, talk about here's what I did. Like every single time I have a client call, I go on Instagram later and I say, I don't mention anything confidential, but I just say, oh, I had a client conversation. Here's like one tip I gave or something that came up. Again, you're just reinforcing the fact that someone's paid you. But like what we were actually talking about before we started recording was that you were looking at a program for yourself and you didn't want a year-long commitment. So there could be this amazing person you're following. You love everything that they do, but because their only offers the year-long thing and you don't want that, you're not going to buy. It's not personal. It's just not the right fit.
Agreed. And that's, I think, why you need to have your method down and why you need different tiers, and sometimes you need to create a hybrid. And that's what I did recently. And that person was literally couldn't afford my one-on-one coaching, but I also have my 5 masterclasses. So what we did is we did a hybrid. So she didn't get me teaching her one-on-one. She got access to my masterclasses, and we basically are doing 6 weeks of follow-up where we just have 30-minute check-ins, which in the end for me is 3 hours of work, but I get 2,500 for that, and that's it because the program is already done. So you can play around with it, because you need to be clear. And I think micro launching would be great for something like that as well, where you have this little, I don't want to say watered down, but this teeny tiny bundle of powerness kind of, but that you can even upsell or upbuild further later on.
That's literally what I've done with this is all very meta, right? Because I'm doing
it is totally meta. I love this stuff.
It's like I'm starting to feel like I'm in a pyramid. Like I micro launched a program about micro launching with my $4,500 micro launching case study.
It's hilarious.
But one of the things in there is that I gave people a chance to upgrade, right? I had my core program. I was like, yeah, but there are people who will say, but Maggie, I want you to tell me. So then I played around with 2 options. One, I had a separate one-on-one thing where, and again, it's just you test things out. I asked questions. What do you guys want, A or B? And they told me. So I did like a test. I said, I have 3 spots open, micro launch one-on-one with Maggie. I'll give you my framework. We have an intensive. And then you have 2 weeks of Voxer, so audio access to me as you implement. And with this program, I was also like, how much do I charge? Like, how much is the one-on-one? What's included? Again, I asked, and they all said it's a 4-week group program. If we had a one-on-one thing, we would want weekly 30-minute calls. So I said, cool, X amount, 3 spots only. You get a weekly 30-minute call and Voxer access, and here's the outcome. Done.
Yeah.
Super
and
simple.
You nailed it in terms of making it a specific number and being very firm on that. I find that is a great sales strategy in terms of also to not overwhelm yourself, because you want to still have your time, right? I think it's a really great thing.
Yeah. I mean, just practically, I had, so my goal for this program was 10 people. It was like, let me test out this concept if it works. I had 24, which was above my own stretch goal. And imagine if I had like everyone loved the one-on-one offer and like half of them booked the upgrade. So running a new program and like trying to coach 12 new people on top of my regular work and my new clients, that's not successful for anyone involved. So you need to limit it.
Yes, I love this. I think this is brilliant. I think it's great. I think that even if you're starting out, test your water with this before, please, for the love of God, before you build a huge 3 gazillion month course, spend 6 months building it and then having crickets because nobody is actually interested or because you didn't do the foundation work. So get clear on your branding, get clear on who you want to work with, get clear on your numbers and packages and strategy of how to guide your clients to understand and wanting to work with you. Get your content out there, get your publicity out there, get your funnels right so that you can convert them, get your systems ready to get your money, but then test it out. And I think this is great because it's not just free and frustrating, but it's actually giving you a little bit of money in your pocket, or a lot of money actually. I mean, 10K is nothing to frown upon. So, test it that way. And based on that, you can build the group program. You can most likely recycle stuff. So I think this is really, really smart piece that in this case, because I'm never into cheap or anything, but in this case, I think it's a smart, short allocation of time that will bring you a lot of insight and that still gets you paid. Because I don't believe in working for free ever.
No, but speaking of like spending 6 months building a course, it's like such a pet peeve of mine as well. Do you know how long it took me to record the video content for this course? One morning.
Or did you do it?
No, I just did it. I have a pretty good quality webcam. I just thought, what is easy? Yes, I can get my DSLR out and I can spend like literally a morning just setting up the tech. Or I'm sure this will be fine. I just sit in my office, record on camera. And I was literally, because I was so clear on the framework and the concept, I was done in one morning. And then the rest of the time you focus on selling.
That's it. And I did the same for the masterclasses. I actually taught it live on Zoom with a client. So it's an actual live case study where I coach her. So you learn from that process too. I didn't waste any time because I was paid for that. I just recorded it with her permission, of course. And now it's an online course that's there forever. So be smart, people. Be smart. So Maggie, thank you so much. This has been absolutely, I enjoyed this conversation so much. You know that money is one of my favorite things to talk about. So this has been great indeed. Now you have a fantastic Facebook group for bosses in Europe. So if you are in Europe, I think it's non-essential. It's an absolute essential, to join that. So go to Facebook and look for bosses in Europe. How else can people get in touch with you and stalk you so that they don't miss the next micro launch?
My podcast is a good one. Christine has been on. We've talked about investments and ROI, which is super fun. That's Business Magic with Maggie Giele. And I think the other great place to find me is on Instagram, especially if you like fluffy Aussie doodles. You will love my dog Frodo and what we get up to. And you can also grab my freebie. Christine, I think you can link that somewhere probably about
my show notes. Yeah.
Great. About my micro launching framework. So come say hi to me on Instagram.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Maggie. And for all the rest of you, I will be back, I don't know, in a week or two, probably in 2. I think I'm going to do this bi-weekly. In the beginning, it's going to be weekly and then bi-weekly. So there you go. I'm making things up as I go. But no, it will be bi-weekly in the end. Perfect. All right. So thank you, Maggie, so much. And for the rest of you, stay in touch. Get in touch with Maggie. Ask me any questions. If you want to, you can reach me at Christine@christinemeansbusiness.com. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.